Hello everyone. Today we'll start with chapter number 10, Kathmandu. Kathmandu is an extract from Vikram Seth's book Heaven Lake that describes his experiences about his visit to the capital city of Nepal, Kathmandu. In his book, he describes his long journey from China to India by crossing through Tibet and Nepal. This travelogue provides an insight about his trip to Kathmandu and how he feels about visiting the city. During his stay, he visits two temples in the city which are sacred, that is, holy, to the Hindus and the Buddhists. In the first paragraph, Vikram said he took a cheap, affordable hotel room on rent, and as he was tired from the journey, he slept for a few hours. The next morning, he visited two temples in Kathmandu along with Mr. Shah's son and nephew. One of the temple was a pilgrimage for the Hindus and the other one of the Buddhists. The second paragraph describes about the Pashupatinath temple. Outside the Pashupatinath temple, a board was hung which read that entry into the temple was restricted to Hindus only. There was chaos outside the temple as priests, hawkers, devotees, tourists, and various animals moved around. The writer and his friends offered a few flowers in the temple. There was a huge rush of pilgrims, and they were elbowing each other in order to move ahead and reach the priest. As a royal princess appeared, everyone got aside to give way and bowed to her. At the main entrance, a group of foreigners who were dressed up in saffron colored clothes like sadhus were trying to gain entry into the temple. The guard denied entry as he knew that they were not Hindus. Then he saw two monkeys fighting, and one chased the other, who jumped onto a shivling. Then they ran around the temple and finally reached the banks of the holy river, that is Bhagmati river, which flows next to the temple. There he saw a dead body being cremated, women washing clothes, and children bathing in the river. The writer noticed how the river was being polluted when a basket of dry withered flowers were thrown into the river from the balcony of a building. A small temple protruded from the platform on the river bank, and it is a myth. It is said that when the temple would emerge out completely, then the goddess in it would come out, and the time period of the Kalyug would thus be ended by her. You can see in the picture, uh, the board is there. It's written entrance only for the Hindus. Then even you can see the foreigners in saffron color clothes. Then priests, hawkers, devotees, tourists, cows, monkeys, pigeons, and dogs, they roam through the grounds. And the policeman is not convinced that they are the Hindus, the foreigners, those who were wearing saffron colored clothes were Hindus. Then a fight broke out between the two monkeys, you can see in the picture, and a corpse is being cremated on the banks of river Bhagmati. Washerwomen, they are washing clothes at the banks of the river, and children bathing in the river. Then the third paragraph says, the writer, he describes the Bodhanath temple, which is a holy place of Buddhists. The place had a feel of calmness. There was a huge white colored dome circumcised by a road. You can see in the picture, white color dome, a circular dome. There was a Tibetan market on the edge of the road where immigrants from Tibet had out up their shops selling bags, printed dresses, and silver jewelry. There was no crowd, and contrary to the scene at the Pashupatinath temple, the Bodhanath temple was calm and quiet with busy streets surrounding it. You can see in the picture, there are no crowds. This is a haven of quietness in the busy streets around. And you can even see in the picture small shops outside the temple. Then, in the fourth paragraph, the writer describes Kathmandu. The city has different things to offer. It is a busy hub, business hub. It has religious places with many shrines, deities, decorated with flowers on the narrow, busy streets. There are hawkers selling fruits, flutes, postcards for the tourists who can find many shops selling imported cosmetics, film rolls which were used in the old cameras, then chocolates, copper utensils, and Nepali antiques. Many different sounds can be heard, like music from the radio, car horn, bicycle bells, moo sound of the cows, and screaming vendors selling the wares. The writer bought a bar of marzipan, a corn on the cob, which had been roasted on charcoal fire by a roadside vendor. He had garnished it with lemon juice, salt, and chili powder. He had bought some love story books and a Reader's Digest magazine too. After eating all the things, he drank Coca Cola, which is an aerated drink and would help him digest the food easily. Then he thought of taking an adventurous route back to his home. It would be a bus or train journey till Patna. From there, he would sail in a boat on the Ganga River and cross Banaras to reach Allahabad. From Allahabad, he would sail upon the Yamuna River, cross Agra, and then reach Delhi. He gave up this adventurous trip and decided to take a flight from Kathmandu to New Delhi. As he was too much tired, he was exhausted. He purchased a ticket from the Nepal Airlines office for the next day's flight. Then the writer saw a flute seller selling different basuris. He was different from all other hawkers. He was standing in a corner of a square outside the hotel. He was holding a pole which had an attachment on the top of it. There were around about 50 to 60 flutes stuck on it. It resembled the thorny body of a porcupine. There were flutes made of bamboo and also cross flutes and recorders. The man would keep the pole on the ground and would play different flutes for short durations. He was calm, only the music of the flute could be heard. He played it meditatively and was not anxious to attract attention. At times he sold one flute but did not seem too interested to have a good sale. He would take breaks to talk to the fruit seller standing beside him or next to him. It seemed that it had been his routine since many years. The music of the flute enchanted Vikram Seth, and he could not go away from there. He finds flute music to be the most universal sound. Flutes are played in many regions and have different names and varieties, like the shakuhachi in Japan, the deep bansuri of Hindustani classical music, the clear, breathy flutes in South America, and the high pitched flutes in China. Each flute has a different way to play it, and the sound varies in pitch and depth. The sound that merges out of a flute is the most common sound, that is the sound of human voice. As the bansuri is played by the mouth, the player exhales into the flute to produce music, and when he pauses to take a breath, the music of the flute also stops. He is surprised that he is deeply influenced by the sounds of the bansuri. Never before has he noticed something in such depth as he noticed the fruit seller and his wares. Hope students, you must have understood the chapter. Thank you.